Hello everyone. So this is going to be the next installment of my collection videos. I think at this point there's probably going to be 5. We've got the winter holiday, fall, spring, summer, and then aromatherapy / fresh, which is a mix of a bunch of stuff that doesn't really fit into seasons. So next up we've got what is probably my favorite season and my favorite season for candles as well, which is the fall. The tough thing with fall is that I think that Slatkin's best scents are in the fall, and it's also the time when I really want to start, burning candles, which of course I'm going to burn them year-round, but it's really when it seems, most people think, oh, this is the time when you start burning candles. It starts cooling down, you spend more time indoors. But it's tough because you really only have, at least for me, about 2 months for your fall candles, because I burn my summer candles through August. I might start a few like apple scents for fall in late August, and then you've got all of September, all of October. And then for me, for the most part, there might be a few that you can still do in November, some of the pumpkins and things, but for the most part, I'm in full-on, pine and holiday wintry things for November, because I don't want to do those past the end of December. So it's really like, 2 months for fall, 2 months for the Christmas holiday ones. So anyhow, let's get into what we've got here. It's not quite as many as the holiday video. We've got kitchen spice. Some people would say this is a year-round scent. For me, though, it's more of a fall. It's got the warmth, of kitchen spices and sort of bakery, so I go for that. Then we have a test scent here from last year, Spice Biscotti, that I really liked. And again, that's saying something since I don't love bakery scents, so I would hope to see maybe this come back this year. It was really nice. It was what it says. It had a little bit of sort of an almond to it, had a little bit of a nutmeg to it, without being too creamy as far as bakery goes. Then everyone knows Cinnamon Sugar Donut, really nice. Marshmallow Fireside, which I only have one and a little tiny bit left of that. I wish I would have found a ton of them at the SAS. I would have stocked up, but I'm sure it'll come back because it was a huge, huge popular candle last year. We've got Creamy Nutmeg, which is discontinued. S'mores, which I didn't buy at first, and then when it went half off, I picked it up, and I really like it. It's not a strong throw, but it's really nice. Autumn Apple, 2 of those, just your classic apple. Then Autumn, which is just a little bit different. I really also love that one. This I consider fall. The recipe collection came out in the fall, and for me, the Frosted Tangerine Cake, it's not something I would burn in the summer, even though it's tangerine. For me, the butteriness, the frosting part of it, I think there's a little bit of coconut in it, as well as whatever the frosting is in the almond, to me are sort of fall. So I've got one of those, and then a little tiny single wick of it. Then we've got down to Woodland Berry, which I don't think a lot of people love this one. I thought it was really nice. It was kind of a departure from Slatkin. It wasn't too fresh. I mean, it wasn't too sweet. It wasn't super fruity and juicy. It was kind of intense and sharp, which works, I think, for a fall berry. I really like that one a lot. 'Tis the Season. I consider this fall because it's a really perfect transition scent from fall into holiday, because you've got such a strong apple note, but yet you've also got some cinnamon and a little bit of pine thrown into that, so I think it's a great November candle. So I've got that one there, and the backup. Spice Cider, which is almost bordering generic, but it's one of those scents that if I didn't have, I would probably miss it. I haven't gotten into the caramel apple, which I know is nice. If it comes back this year, I may pick it up, but in years past, I think this will be my 3rd year of buying fall candles with Slatkin. I've never picked up the caramel apple. But we get into pumpkin, and it seems that most people prefer the sweet cinnamon pumpkin. That's the one that they have. I think they did body care, they did candles, they did the room spray, of course, they did just everything, every form in Sweet Cinnamon Pumpkin, and Pumpkin Patch was sort of overlooked. But it's by far, in my opinion, the better one. Sweet Cinnamon Pumpkin is, I don't know, it's your pumpkin pie, your really strong cinnamon, but the Pumpkin Patch just really is, I liken it to sort of Yankees Harvest in the sense that to me, it's sort of everything that you want fall to be, because it's rich, it's a little bit, I would almost say it's a little bakery, a little bit like a candy corn to it. It's got pumpkin to it without being just a spiced pumpkin, or not being a spiced pumpkin. I really, really love it. So I've got one that's almost gone. I should have probably finished that last year, and then a backup just in case it doesn't come back, since they were pushing sweet cinnamon pumpkin last year so much more. Then with pumpkin there, we've got pumpkin caramel latte, which was part of their fall drink collection. I got this because I wanted something that was maybe a little bit sweet and bakery, that I didn't have a lot of other ones like that. But this ended up being way too strong and way too sweet. There was, like everyone else said, and I think Karen and I actually said in our fall test scent haul and review from last July, almost a year ago now, there's really no pumpkin in it, and there's no latte, there's no espresso or coffee in it. It's just very creamy, caramely, really heavy and cloying. I think I burned it once, and it had a crazy burn, so it went down quite a bit. But I haven't burned it since then, so that's something I'm not a huge fan of. One that I do love, that I actually thought I had more of, is Acorn and Fig. This was Slatkin, and I've said some of this if you haven't seen the first video I was in with Karen sent my way. I'll link to it at the bottom here. I'm sure most of you are subscribers to her already, though. And we talked about this one in there when it was a test scent last July when I picked a bunch up. And to me, they're really sort of going a little deeper, a little bit more sort of a high-end, scent with acorn and fig. Of course, it doesn't smell exactly like an acorn or a fig, but it's got the woodsy aromatics. I think it's got a little bit of pear in it. It reminded me somewhat of green tea white pear, which is my all-time favorite Slatkin scent. So I really, really loved that. I'm not sure how popular it was, if it'll come back this year, but I like that they went and did a line in that direction. Cranberry Woods, which of course everyone loves, that, and a backup. Mountain Leaves, which I don't think many people loved. Really intense, definitely was sort of cologne-y, but it was unique. It had a ton of vetiver. It had those frosted leaves in it. It wasn't a spicy sort of leaves the way that we think of the leaves candle, but I loved it. So I got a couple of backups when it went super, super discounted right before the SAS in the fall. So I think I paid maybe $4 for each of those. So I figured since it went discounted, it might, earlier than the others, it may not come back, so I stocked up on that. And then the last grouping of 3 wicks here is a Love It or Hate It, sort of infamous candle that started as a test scent, went wide in mini form with a Paris trio of scents, along with the launch of the Paris and More at Bath & Body Works body care line. And this was a Love It or Hate It scent, lavender caramel. It was released as a single mini, the 1.6 ounce, as lavender macaroon. Really should have been macaron based on the photo there. But it's a really interesting mix. So I actually have 4 of them. I think I might have had 5 or 6 at some point. Again, it's a Love It or Hate It. If you're not familiar with it, the notes were an unexpected, very true, blend of lavender, warm caramel, and brown sugar with just a touch of salt. In our test scent review, Karen said it reminded her of stovetop. She could smell a sage note in it. And I definitely get this sage note. It's a mix of herbal and sweet. It's got the lavender, and it's got the richness of the caramel without being a milky caramel like the pumpkin caramel latte is. And I don't know, it's so unique and so weird smelling that I stocked up. I did a phone order to get a couple of those when they were clearanced out, and I just really, really love it. And the other fall ones we've got are just a grouping of single wicks here that these I've gotten sort of random spots. Some of them I actually just bought at this SAS in June. They were clearanced out at 75% off, and they were scents I didn't buy in the 3 wicks. I wasn't super impressed with them in the past, but I figured getting them for $1 something after the survey coupon, it was worth it. So let me just run through all of these, and then we'll see. I'll talk about them individually. We've got Cranberry Woods, everyone knows and loves. Amber Woods, which I reviewed with Karen in a video we did just a few months back. Really, quite honestly, disgusting. I ordered it because it sounded interesting. I ordered it from an outlet without smelling it, which is why I bought 2 of them. I may burn them, I may not. It's really not a good scent, I don't think. I think it probably was maybe a test scent back when Cranberry Woods was released or something like that, because they've got a similar label and notes that sort of could counter each other. Apple Crumble, which I had actually loved this scent. I bought it twice last fall, and it was the most horribly performing candle I'd ever had up to that point, and I returned it both times and just gave up on it. So I figured with a single wick, even though they don't have great throw and they don't usually have great burn, if you throw like an Alumilid on them or something and let them burn for 6 or 8 hours, eventually they'll even themselves out enough that it's good enough. So you got that one. Same thing with hot buttered rum and spiced apple toddy, which is almost a dupe of leaves, I think. And hot buttered rum has such a light throw, and it's just sort of the generic, you know, caramely, creamy drink that they put in the pumpkin caramel latte, and almost like a kitchen spice scent to me that I didn't bother getting in a 3-wick, but super cheap, so I bought it recently. Hot chocolate, I bought this when Karen and I did our test scent video because it was new, but I don't like that at all. I probably will never burn it. I think it smells really cheap and kind of sour. So I've got it. I don't want to throw it away. You know, we'll see. I don't know what I'll do with it eventually. And then here we've got a trio that most people are not familiar with that started as test scents, remained as test scents, but you may have seen them in another form. So these are lavender caramel, brown butter praline, and toasted coconut, which I wasn't a fan of. Of course, I loved my lavender caramel. Wasn't a fan of either of these. The brown butter praline smelled kind of like burnt, sour. You know, the image is of almost like a peanut brittle or something like that. So if I can get it to focus, maybe. Yeah. So it sounds interesting, but it really was just like a burnt butter kind of smell. And then toasted coconut I was excited for, but it did not really smell that strong. It smelled like coconut. I could see it like a German chocolate cake sort of frosting, but just really weak, so not anything super exciting. But though you didn't see these released wide, if you saw the trio of Paris mini candles that released last fall, you actually have smelled all of these. So they released as, instead of lavender caramel, it was lavender macaroon, which should have been macaron. I will always counter that with it should have been macaron, since it's a French pastry and not the typical American coconut macaroon. Brown butter praline was, and I should have checked on this, I want to say that one of them was French Madeleine cookie, and one of them was French bundt cake, or caramel cake. I think is what they called it, French caramel cake, and it looked like a bundt cake. And that was the brown butter praline. The notes matched sugar caramel, shortbread, pralines, fresh cream. It was just a different name, different photo. And then the Madeleine cookie, I believe, was the toasted coconut, which was coconut cream, toasted almonds, and crystallized sugar. So yeah, these were repackaged as that. So they weren't they were test scents that didn't succeed, and they released them in the 1.6 ounce mini candles, which I find, if you've watched my first video about the gold lid aromatherapy candles, I find that kind of thing very interesting. They've done that before. In fact, with this spring, they did the Paris line that came out, the Paris Daydream, Lavender Market, and French Garden were all repackages of spring test scents from the Fresh Market line that never went wide. So I think it's kind of interesting that they do that. So anyhow, those are those three. Didn't love them, haven't burned them. I may this fall, but time will tell. So I have rambled on, so if you've gotten through this video, I appreciate it. There are going to be 3 more to go, so settle in or plan to come back and visit another day. But next up we'll be doing either the spring or summer, and then we've got one more after that. So until then, if you have any questions or comments, or you see something here that you want to know more about, you want to hear more of, or if there's something you think I'm missing that I didn't see, please certainly let me know. I'd love to hear if you found any other finds or things that you've noticed or new things that you've heard about coming. Certainly let me know. And until then, thanks for watching.